fastest show in sports.
It is time to once and for all hammer down on Stephen A. Smith. I have absolutely, at this point, the clown show has got to stop sooner or later. When Alabama loses to Florida State, Stephen A., of course, he's right front and center on ESPN because he's the chief rabble-rouser who gets the most clicks. They stick him out there, and Stephen A. does his usual and goes off without knowing one damn thing about college football. Zero.
Who would ever thought that somebody would have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to call out Nick Saban? They would never. They would never. But they did it with, why? Because Kalen DeBoer is coaching them. Because that finesse style that you was enjoying in the Pac-12 once upon a time, out there in the Pacific Northwest, it ain't Alabama. You in Alabama. You in the South. You in the country. You got to get them big brothers, meat, potatoes, eating hogs for breakfast. That's what you need. But they don't have that in Alabama. So what the days of Alabama with Nick Saban are gone unless one thing happens. Somehow, some way, you convince that man to come off that fantastic show that is College Football Game Day and return to save Alabama. That's about it. Because I don't see anything happening with Kalen DeBoer. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
What Stephen A. Smith knows about college football would fit on the head of a pin and you would have room left for the Grand Canyon. The man is nothing more than a mustachioed, sometimes with a little rubber nose that he's got, put it on here sometime, put on the freaking shoes. He's a clown show. And there's a reason why. I get it why people want to watch him. Look, I was watching you on the monitor. You were laughing the whole time that he was saying it. So was I. He's a clown. The reason why people like Stephen A. Smith is because he says outrageous shit and just lets it go and screams and hollers. And just because he hollers, people like him. That's the whole point. Sometimes that's all you want is somebody who reeks and hollers and screams and basically makes the knuckleheads of the world feel happy because all of a sudden you got somebody screaming at you. You like it. You want to be abused. That's the whole point of it now. And you want somebody to go ahead and throw comedy at you because that's all Stephen A. Smith is. He's bad comedy. I know a ton of comics. I know about 400 comics that I've worked with in my lifetime. They're all funnier than you, and some of them are dead.
Now, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Ed Berliner, you will not ever talk. According to my sources, you, pesto and marinara, you have not said the truth about me. No, look, it's a peripheral friendship with Stephen A. I've known him for 25, 30 years. I don't think we've talked in 10, but we text every now and then. I congratulated him on a $100 million contract. I'm not sure why, because I don't think he deserved it, but nobody thinks he deserved it.
Somebody's going to be coming here right now, Mike, when we do this.
Somebody's got to make that money.
Say, look, Stephen A. Smith is out there with a big fat contract. He's making 3,000 times more than you guys are, and he's got more followers than you guys. So how can you go after him? Easy. We're smart, we're intelligent, we also have class, and we know how to talk about sports. Stephen A. knows bupkis about college football.
Wow,
zero.
Steve, he doesn't, and it's an easy take. Nick Saban, resurrect him from the grave, get him back. Kalen DeBoer's a lousy coach. Fine, whatever. It's a take. It's that we're full of a world of hot takers now. I was more comically amused by the Paul Feinbaum, who looks like your 7th grade history professor. I'm amazed that he's got a show. Like, God bless him. I know he knows more about Southeast Conference football than anybody, probably even Bear Bryant in his grave. And same with on the right side was, I think it was Cam Newton in some ridiculous getup, like it was Mardi Gras or something. But that's what he wears now. I have no idea what Cam
Newton has on his head. I don't even want.
Yeah, it was just like, he's out to lunch, and so to me it's funny. It's sports. It's not journalism. It's entertainment. They're in a different lane, Ed, than us. I mean, if we wanted to really do the hokey stuff and dress up every day, we could.
I don't want to do it.
And we could start shouting, If we started shouting that white people are better and that all immigrants should go away, we would get sponsors quickly. The Blaze might even pick us up as a show. That's how sick this world is right now. So what I guess I'm saying is, he's appealing to somebody. Stephen A. realized something, and I'm not going to give him a total pass. I like anybody, like when you talk about the clicks in the last segment and the awful people that put out these memes. Well, okay, who lets them put out the memes? Who got rid of their fact checkers? Mark Zuckerberg, like big tech, Mark Zuckerberg, Tim Cook at Apple, Elon Musk at X. These people have let absolute lies flourish over their platforms. They don't care about the facts. If they had real fact checkers in there, we might have a better society. We don't. So now you're in a point where the people at ESPN, they had real competent reporters and people that were really thoughtful and good, some of whom happen to be black, like David Aldridge. David Aldridge doesn't work at ESPN anymore. Why? Because he wasn't loud. He wasn't the caricature of a loud black man like Stephen A is.
Look,
And
it's
Stephen A
very
works
simple.
at it. Stephen A works his ass off, by the way. I don't have any problem with him. I have
Good for
a
him
problem
working
with
his
the
ass off, but at the
system
same
made.
time,
I
if
have a
you-
problem with the system that made Stephen A. Not
If you
him.
wanna listen
He's
to
only
Stephen
taking
A.
advantage. He's wearing the suit. He's wearing the suit right now and getting the money. That's it.
Stephen A. Smith is an entertainer. That's all he is.
Right.
If you go to
He's
Stephen A.
in a
Smith and
different
you expect
lane.
to get sports and you want to discuss sports intelligently, you're not going to get it. As I said before, what the man knows about sports, and specifically about college football, would fit on the head of a pin and you would have room left for the Grand Canyon. He just doesn't know that much. It's just because he's not a college football guy. He's a basketball guy.
Well,
I'm going to say this about Stephen A. He knows his basketball well, but he's an entertainer. He's not the kind of guy.
Right.
But that's what he is. He's the kind of guy who comes out, throws the hot takes out there, and that's all you have him for. If people missed it, ESPN stands for Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. The first word in ESPN is entertainment. It always has been. And now more than ever before, they're turning entertaining. Stephen A., yeah, I'll watch him just to be entertained. Listen to him on sports and believe anything he tells me about what's going on in sports? Not a clue. Not a sausage.
Well, I'm with you, and I like the guy. I hope that he continues to do well. I'm not happy with the system that made him because it. But here's the flip side. When him talking about Kalen DeBoer is whatever. It's okay. Fire the guy. He's not going to work out as the coach at Alabama. Fine, that's a great take. So that's a harmless take.
It's a stupid
what gets
take.
me is
it doesn't make
what
any
gets
sense.
me is
it's just feeding into the idiots who want him fired and the social media clowns. That's all it does.
Right, but okay, but that to me is almost harmless because there was a time when a Mike Lupica in New York had power and wrote a column that a coach should be fired, and sometimes he was. A manager was fired. That doesn't happen anymore. Sports columnists, sports opinion makers on television don't have the clout or the respect to actually get someone fired anymore.
Because
it might be
they're
taken
seen
into
as
someone's
clowns,
account if you
entertainers.
Right, exactly. It might be taken account if you write a real damaging piece about them as a person and you do some reporting, but it's not taken into account anymore. Kent Babb, a friend of mine from the Washington Post, wrote this incredibly damaging profile about Kim Mulkey, the coach at LSU, and just what a lousy human being she is. She's still at LSU. They're still paying her. They don't care. Because people will look past a lot. My problem is when people like Bill Maher or Jon Stewart, even at Comedy Central, bring on Stephen A. and ask him to start talking about life and politics, and Stephen A. saying he's going to run for president.
I don't care.
That to me is bothersome only because you can say things that are really damaging. I mean, they ask Bill Maher asked him about Pete Buttigieg, and why hasn't Pete Buttigieg moved the black community? And why haven't people gotten behind him? He's got all these credentials, and Stephen A. said he doesn't move us. He doesn't move us. Well, one, African American people in this country are not a monolithic people. Stephen A. does not speak for black Americans in this country.
Indeed.
And I feel sorry for anybody that does that, because no one comes to us and go, hey, what do you think of Gavin Newsom? You think he'll be a good white American president? Nobody does that to us. Only people of color are asked why you guys don't like this person. I think that's awful. It's awful in itself. The fact that you would just assume and Stephen A. shouldn't be speaking for him. You know, like
But
there are a lot of
same
people in
breath,
this
though,
country.
Mike. In the same breath, if Stephen A. wants to
Can I
opine on
finish? Can I
politics,
finish,
let him
Ed?
go ahead. He has every right that anybody else has. But to look at him as
Right,
some
but
sort
let
of
me
an
finish.
expert is laughable because he's not. He's a
Yeah, but let
sports
me
guy.
finish.
Look, there's an old saying in television that always used to be, "Stay in your lane." I mean, there was a time when basically
Yeah,
sports
exactly.
people never talked about anything else. Now we do because it's the way
Yeah.
the broadcast society has gone. But there is some stay in your lane, Stephen A.
Well,
Talk Smith,
I get
talk
that.
sports,
I get
talk
that. And
smack, do whatever you want, but stay out of everything else because I don't know a lot of people
yeah,
who
but
basically think that you know what you're talking about.
if you're going to stay, you could say the same about us. Stay in your lane. We've talked diddly about sports, real sports today. But the bottom line is,
But I'm happy to stay out
if
of
you're going
politics.
to have, if you're going to have a take like Stephen A. did, he goes, he doesn't move us. He doesn't move us. And he goes, now I could get into the other things, but I'm not going to. What he's saying, the dog whistle there is, Pete Buttigieg is gay. He's married to a gay man. They have a family that they're very loving and supporting with. A lot of African American people in this come from the black church. The black church meaning the old Southern Baptist church. They still believe Leviticus. They believe in the literal Leviticus. Man cannot lay with man. Like, let's say it for what it is. There's a lot of people, a lot of black people in this country don't like Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. That is messed up. That's fucked up. And until that changes, we will not have any progress in this country.
That's all, folks.